Alrighty, I think we are live now.
Yep, so still on my screen.
Okay, just taking its sweet time to go over to the YouTube end.
Oh, they're watching at home. They have a evidently 20-second delay instead of the usual 7-second delay.
Oh,
Right, that was the old joke during a sporting event. If you're watching at home, there's a 7-second delay.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually, I am kind of proud of this little thumbnail. I found the image of the xenomorph, rasping at the mic, and I just added the images and the title on it. So, all right. First off, everyone who might be watching already, I want to state that we have not played the new game, Aliens Fireteam.
We should probably say like a little disclaimer. We have not. I don't know. You probably played the Aliens Colonial Marines as well, but I personally have not played Aliens Colonial Marines or Aliens Fireteam. So I'm just not going to be judging the games. Again, I've seen gameplay of both, but I haven't actually played them myself, so I can't really judge them fairly.
Yeah, I actually have played Colonial Marines. I bought the collector's edition because I was hoping to get the the phase plasma pulse rifle DLC. Okay. And yeah, I got it, and it's fun to play in my honest opinion. But and I understand there are a lot of issues with that game, but
so overall, I do own it myself. I got it as part of the Alien collection when I bought Alien Isolation on Steam. So I have it with all the DLC and everything as well. I just never downloaded it and played it.
Okay. Hey, I just noticed something. Your name there.
Oh crap! It's in Hebrew, isn't it? Sorry, I was on the phone with my Israeli friends just before I came on here, so
okay.
My Hebrew mindset.
Okay. Real quick. No worries. Yeah, I was just curious about that. I was like, is that an alien language there?
I keep getting that from people. Yeah, you speak alien languages. Sure, why not?
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, we got that settled. But yeah, I've played Colonial Marines, and yeah, I understand the issues, but I really also enjoy it for what they tried to make it into. They tried to truly make it a sequel to Aliens, and tried to actually do a good job bringing back, a certain character. I think you already know who that character is, right?
Oh, in Colonial Marines.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought back Hicks.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to verify with you in case you were spoiled or whatever.
No, I know about it. But yeah, that was through a DLC though, not the main game.
Well, actually, he was in the main story.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was in the main story, but the extra DLC focuses more on how he got there.
Gotcha.
Because like you're taking control of like Corporal Winters and his team of the USS Sephora. And then, like, halfway through the game, when they're on LV-426, they find out that there's a prisoner in Wei-Yu custody. They find that prisoner, and they unmask him, and it's revealed to be Hicks. The DLC tells how Hicks survived aliens and got to that point where he was captured.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, now, first, I actually made a bit of a checklist here to go through the different topics on what we're going to talk about. First off, I'd like to discuss as a person who has not played Colonial Marines, but you have at least seen the game, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so having seen the game and therefore having seen Fireteam, what is your assessment of it?
From what I've seen of Fireteam and Colonial Marines actually has a bit more of a fear factor to it. If I had there's more creepy elements in that game versus from what I've seen of Aliens Fireteam so far. And I have some gameplay going on in the background right now as I'm speaking to watch. It's very much. like it's very bright, it's very colorful. You know, it's pretty much what did I describe it to you as? Like a World War Z zombie horde shooter reskin.
Yeah, but
It's like
with Xenomorphs.
that's pretty much what Fireteam Elite is.
Okay.
Colonial Marines does feel like it's at least trying. It's just poorly executed.
Yeah, because I know
Mainly
that
because
there
of the
was
AI and the code itself.
because I do know that there was like a pre-release trailer for that showed what the game was supposed to be like, but then the final product did not entirely live up to it, and some people were very let down by that.
Yeah, I mean, also that's another thing is that Colonial Marines was like a traditional co-op campaign trying to tell a story, whereas this is literally just a let's market on the Alien franchise by having a multiplayer shooter.
So essentially, it was meant to be the whatchamacallit, the Friday the 13th video game of the Alien franchise, right?
I guess. I mean, in terms of like the purpose of it, and like the same thing with the Predator Hunting Grounds, which was made by the same guys that did the Friday the 13th game. It's pretty much like, yeah, let's market and capitalize on the franchise by making just a throwaway shooter. And when I say throwaway, I don't mean like, oh, the shooter's bad, it's really easy to make and all that. No, games take a long time. They're very strenuous and difficult endeavor to do. But I mean by throwaway is that in 10 years, what game are people still going to be talking about? Alien Isolation and even Colonial Marines or AVP 2010, or are we going to be talking about Fireteam Elite?
I think we know the answer to that.
One of the games I just listed, or this new one.
I think. Well, see, here's the thing. In terms of quality, I definitely feel like that Fireteam definitely underperformed because from what I have seen, I've seen like the first few levels of the story, and it's like you're taking like so long just to get from one. It's like the whole chapter. So the first chapter is on this space station, and by the way, that space station does have working Joes and callbacks to Alien Isolation. But the thing is, it feels like it went so far into the retro 70s vibe of Alien and Alien Isolation. They forgot that this was supposed to be set during the James Cameron Aliens period, where there's supposed to be a more advanced, sleek look to like the aesthetic, the design, and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, I'd say everything's less sleek in Cameron's film versus the first Alien.
Well, actually, I do have like
less things have either the military equipment is more sleek, but everything in general is usually it's more exposed, less comfy looking, like for lack of a better term, because you have the 70s astronaut aesthetic in the 70s with like cushioned wall pads and all that, whereas that's all gone in James Cameron's film.
Yeah, because I'm actually trying to find the interior designs of the hallways and such here. It's not easy because I feel like that Colonial Marines, it was trying to go for the more 70s vibe, even though you're dealing with a time period that's more based on the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, we're kind of just nitpicking the specific. It's not even just the art style; it's just the specifics of the art style. Of like, which film were they trying to base it off of?
Yeah, like they had an identity crisis.
The game itself, I'm just talking about like comparing the gameplay to the other Alien games, right? Like what, how does it feel? What does it look? I don't know. I haven't played, but just from watching gameplay of it, it's very much. Again, like I've seen this gameplay before. There's nothing I hear this argument a lot because it's a good argument, and that is if you're making a sci-fi game, right, or a sci-fi story, and the story is good, like it's good, but like it works whether it's sci-fi or not. Does it need to be a sci-fi story then? Like, does it need to be in a sci-fi setting if the story doesn't, can work whether it's in or out of a sci-fi setting.
Yeah.
So in this case, you have an Alien game, but does this Alien game still work as a game if it's not in the Alien universe? Yes. So does it need to be in the Alien universe? By that argument, no. Because this is the same type of game as with World War Z, and I'm blanking on almost. It reminds me of Gears of War a bit, but without the cover mechanics.
Yeah. Because like here is an image of the Alien Isolation airlock. It does look clean, but it's like very bulky. It has that 70s feel. But then you got whatchamacallit? You got the Aliens Colonial Marines design, which is right here, I believe. Yeah, right here. I mean, yeah, this is bloody, but it's kind of sleeker, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean now, where everything's a bit less open, more detailed, but yeah, also more like, there's more lights in the walls and stuff as opposed to like your typical just overhead lights and that's it.
Yeah.
Like the panels would open up, revealing like, your spacesuits and all that. So yeah, I see what you mean there.
Yeah, because I mean, like, heck, even this image right here, this is like a picture of the umbilical between the two ships, you see?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, like, it's confined, but it's like it's so sleek compared to like what you would see in the like decades before in the retro 70s look.
Yeah, and there's the difference between the 70s inspired sci-fi and 80s inspired sci-fi, so that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, don't get me wrong, it is nice to see the Colonial Marines on like a space station similar to the
Oh, so you keep in mind these space stations aren't built in that same era. They could have been built in the first movie era. So
yeah.
like
But
lore wise,
see, here's the thing. I did a little sneak peek, and while I don't know like the whole details of the story, I know that there's like chapters, like the entire first chapter is on this old space station and such. And it's just like, but it takes like forever just to get through the station because you're like fighting xenomorphs left and right. And like, where's the horror vibe of this thing? You know what I mean? Because I mean, it's like the game has so much action, there's like very little horror to it. Thoughts?
I haven't seen a lot. I haven't seen that beginning intro part. I just seen like just random bits of gameplay across the entire game.
Yeah.
Mainly a lot of stuff focusing on also like the menu UI and the customization and stuff like that. And again, it's very much a multiplayer game in that regard, where you're not upgrading in the sense of like, oh, you're upgrading your gear throughout the story type of thing. You're upgrading, to have the better gun and to have the better armor and to have the better this and the better that, so that your multiplayer character can, take on more damage and then deal out more damage. But like again, it's just, I'm not saying I hate the idea of multiplayer games in an alien setting. I just don't like when the entire game is essentially just a horde mode and it's being sold as a full game.
Yeah. Because and the real issue I do take with the Fireteam game, from what little I've seen of it, is the fact that these characters, they hardly have much heart. They have much camaraderie. It's like they're just a bunch of NPCs working together. You know what I mean?
Okay, I need to correct myself. The game's not full price. It is $40.
Oh wow. Okay.
However, there is a deluxe edition that is $70.
Oh wow. But yeah, I feel like that there isn't really much character to even the Marines in this game. It's like you select your Marine, you customize them, and then that's it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you're the character essentially. It's a multiplayer game, so there's not going to be any character.
Yeah. But what I
I
liked
know
about
they have voice lines and dialogue and stuff, but it's more like to make you feel immersed in the game rather than trying to tell a story.
I understand that, but still, I mean, even you could customize like a rookie character and still be with a squad of actual characters is what I feel that the game could have been. Because I mean, Aliens Colonial Marines, you took control of an already established character, this Corporal Winters. And yeah, he does come off as kind of bland at times, but still, he is a character you control. And you get to know his squad mates, you get to know the big guy, you get to know the chick, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have it's mixed bag when you do shooters. Like obviously, in RPG, you typically want to do a non-established character. This way, you are the character and you have dialogue options. But in a game like this, where you have a character that it's a shooter, right? So you want to have a pre-established character. This way, that's the story. It's being carried by these characters. You're just enjoying the game, playing these characters, and shooting the aliens. Not every. I mean, obviously, there are some shooters that don't always do this. I mean, take Doom and Half-Life. Half-Life, it's about the characters around you, you being like the ultimate badass. Same with Doom and same with Halo.
Yeah. Heck, there's even whatchamacallit, Shadow Warrior, the 2013 remake of the first person shooter from the 90s Doom clone. Basically Shadow Warrior 2013, what I loved about that was that, you controlled this character Lo Wang, and the fact that he had like this voice that he can talk to, the demon known as Hoji. It was entertaining. It showed that he was not entirely alone during this ordeal. There was character and depth.
That's what I liked about Titanfall 2, actually, because Titanfall 2 did a similar thing where you play a pretty, I hate using this term, so I'm going to use something else, but you play as pretty much a run-of-the-mill FPS genre action hero in Jack Cooper. He's a new pilot, and your Titan BT is constantly like you're constantly having a back and forth with him throughout missions, and they even give you dialogue options. It's a binary dialogue option, and it doesn't really have any effect on gameplay, but that's not the point. It's on RPG, so it's not supposed to be where your dialogue affects your the status of the game and all that. No, it makes you feel more involved with BT, with the character of BT, and that's what I liked about that game. It's like, yeah, you have these relatively irrelevant dialogue options, but at the same time, it kind of helps you build a relationship with this fictional character, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, and see, that's what I feel like Fireteam is lacking. You don't get much of a connection with any of the characters from what I see.
I think the only game on the thumbnail that actually did that, though, was Alien Isolation in regards to getting a connection to characters.
Oh, that definitely got you a connection.
Because even AVP and like I can't speak for Colonial Marines that much, but AVP 2010 even the characters are kind of just cookie cutter archetypes. So
yeah,
like they're not much. The only character is the bad guy.
Yeah. So but yeah, and on the matter of Aliens, Fireteam, and Alien Isolation. What that actually, I feel like that's kind of what Fireteam should have been, along the lines of Isolation, even if it was different. It could have still been, like this action shooter, but it could have also been a survival horror, just like Isolation. Because that's the second part of my little notes here. Fireteam could have been like Resident Evil 1, and they go in like fully armed to the teeth, kind of like the beginning of Colonial Marines, right? But the moment they arrive at their destination, things are going wrong, and not just because there's so many Xenos, but because their equipment is malfunctioning or is not as fully loaded as they thought it was. And so therefore, these guys went in thinking they were going to be, mowing down bugs, just another bug hunt. And yeah, it turns out a member of their own ranks is a traitor. Someone is sabotaging their equipment and everything. That's what you could have done. That way you could have seen how these characters reacted to the whole situation while they were trying to stay alive. And you would have these moments where each character shines, and also each character has a moment of where you question whether or not they're the good guy or not. And then eventually the traitor's revealed by the near end of the story. What do you think?
Pretty much a mix of Aliens and Alien Isolation, story-wise.
Yeah, like you do have the action of Colonial Marines and in this and Fireteam, but you have the story and depth and characters of Alien Isolation. What do you think?
Oh, I meant the movie Aliens, not the game.
Yeah,
You got a mix between like aliens, like you got why am I blinking? The guy that played Burke, I'm blinking the actor's name, but essentially like a Burke-like character mixed in with a cast of characters similar to Alien Isolation. That sort of
thing. Except this time it's not.
Two.
Except this time it's not just a company stooge; it's an actual soldier who can fight as the traitor, kind of like Wesker from Resident Evil. Because I mean, when you think about it, you know, the Colonial Marines and Stars from Resident Evil, they have something in common where they went to this place fully armed and ready, but then the monsters they find there are not what they were trained to deal with, and therefore they start, you know, dying off by the numbers, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I just feel like if there was like something like that, because I mean, one of the things about Resident Evil is that it was partially based on aliens. It was based on a lot of different franchises: Aliens, Terminator, even The Thing to an extent, and of course the Romero zombie films. So, you know,
a lot of game franchises were based on Alien. Halo was also to an extent based on Alien, along with Star Wars, a bit of Star Trek in there.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's, you know, same thing with Doom. Doom was originally going to be an Aliens game.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do an Aliens video game, you might as well base it on some of the games that were also based on it. You know, do like a Resident Evil style game with aliens.
Not in terms of story, but in terms of gameplay, I think. Yeah.
Well, slightly with story. Like I said, you got to have this one character in your team who is a traitor, and he's sabotaging everything, yet still trying to pretend that he's, you know, on your team. So, yeah, that's the best I can think of for what we could have got with Fireteam.
Story-wise, at least, because gameplay. And that's another thing. Is again, I haven't played the game, so I can't judge too much. But just I'm watching some of the gameplay right now, and again, it just looks like, you know, it seems to take some visual elements from Doom in terms of, like, you know, the scoped weapons and stuff like that. But it's really no. And I see some of the androids you were talking about earlier. They're fighting. But again, it's essentially just a zombie horde mode game. So, but reskinned with the aliens on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if there was like, you know, some infighting between some of the characters, so that way we can get growth out of them.
Even if there wasn't, like ignoring story altogether for right now, like, yeah, just gameplay. Like, what would you want from an Aliens game? Because I doubt it's this.
Back to Resident Evil, there is like interesting gameplay mechanics in the remake games. Like, you got these characters like all alone wandering around these dark areas. One hand has a flashlight, the other hand has a gun, and that gun is not like entirely fully loaded, and there are more monsters than there are bullets and healing items. So you could have done an Aliens game like that. You know, it's, you know, just like Alien Isolation. You have some very powerful weapons, but that don't guarantee you're going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I mean, it definitely sounds more interesting than just another horde mode game.
Yeah. And on the topic of Alien Isolation, there are different possibilities of what could be a sequel, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously not anymore because they got rid of it with that mobile game that came out back in, I want to say, like 2018, 2019.
What mobile
I
game?
think it was 2018. But essentially, they made a mobile game called Alien Blackout. It was $5, and it was a sequel to Alien Isolation.
And it
And
was a
it's
bad
crap.
sequel.
I mean, it's a mobile game, so take that as you will in terms of like the gameplay of it. But it's almost like a Five Nights at Freddy's knockoff,
Ah,
except you're now guiding people alongside it.
okay.
So it's kind of like a Five Nights at Freddy's clone.
Well, I'm not familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's,
Pretty
so
much, you're in a control room with a bunch of cameras, and you have to keep using the cameras to see where the alien is, and the alien might come through the vents to try and get you, and you have to close the vents to stop it from getting you. And in the you also have to, meanwhile, while you're doing all this, you also have to guide the people on the station to certain areas to complete tasks and protect them from the alien and tell them to hide and stuff like that.
ah.
So yeah, the neighbor's dog's going crazy. Sorry about that.
Don't worry, I know what that's like.
But yeah, it's so like anyone that's like watched Five Nights at Freddy's gameplay or played it, like you know what I'm talking about when I say it's like a clone of Five Nights at Freddy's, which
Okay.
isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just like that's it. That's your sequel to Alien Isolation.
Yeah, not exactly a good sequel. But yeah, I mean, first off, one thing I just did want to bring up in regards to like the Alien Isolation IP. It kind of, we all know that this was kind of based on the director's cut of Aliens, because in the first Alien film, nobody knew that Ellen Ripley had a daughter. But then director's cut of Aliens reveals that she did have one, but, had died of old age because, Ripley had been in hypersleep for over 50 years. But here's the question. How do we know Burke didn't lie when he said that she died of old age? What do you think?
I mean, even if she did, you still have 50+ years to tell the story. So
Yeah, I mean, let's do the math here. It was like roughly 15 to 20 years after the first film, the Alien
Alien
Isolation.
Isolation is like I think 15 years. So
Okay, yeah, 15 years. So 15 years after the first film is when the video game Alien Isolation starts. So you're already a good quarter through, almost a good quarter through the 50-year gap. So essentially, maybe she got into more incidents, and so much hypersleep preserved her. Maybe she got into an almost similar situation as her mother, where she spent a few years here, a few years there in hypersleep, and therefore she probably retained her age from Alien Isolation all the way as far as the Aliens movie. But Wei Yu wanted to keep a tight grip on Ellen Ripley, so that's why they came up with, Burke could have come up with some bogus story about her daughter dying of old age. What do you think?
I don't know. All I know is that before Alien Blackout came out, and kind of like, oh well, damn, now we're never gonna get Alien Isolation 2. I was hoping that we would get a Aliens style Alien Isolation sequel, where okay, now you have multiple aliens, but they're all using the Alien Isolation alien AI, and I have multiple aliens to deal with. But now you have a pulse rifle and all that, and hell, doesn't even need to follow Amanda Ripley. You can follow a new character and be a new story.
True.
Just using the gameplay and being sequel in that regard. Yeah, and it's like, okay, use all the same mechanics and assets. Like maybe it's, in the Aliens era, right? So we're going 15 years, 60 years in the future. Like it's post Aliens, like post the movie Aliens.
Yeah.
Similar to Colonial Marines, except actually done better.
Yeah.
So that would have been cool.
And I know that one of the things that would have made a good idea for Alien Isolation 2 would have been she gets found by the predators.
Right. That was my original sequel idea, where she gets found by the predators, and then like, oh, they saw what she did, and they thought that she's honorable, whatever, and they make her an honorary predator, and then you now have predator gear, and it becomes kind of like again an Alien style sequel to an Alien style game.
Yeah.
And it's an more action oriented game, but you still have the same Alien AI or improved version of. And there's multiple aliens and all that, and like you have to recharge your energy and stuff. Your ammo's low, stuff like that. So,
and also on the matter of like, there's something I'm curious about in terms of the sound effects. Which do you prefer, the Alien Isolation xenomorph shrieking roar, or the aliens cat shriek of the xenomorphs?
oh, like that high pitched shriek they make when they die.
Yeah.
If we're talking death noises, obviously the aliens one, but everything else, I'd say Alien Isolation.
Okay. So it's like a mix between the two.
Kinda.
Okay, that's good.
Because again, like in Alien Isolation, you never hear the alien die because the alien's never really dying.
Yeah. So, but I will say it is kind of ridiculous that they don't die in that game, because I mean,
well, if you see them, usually when they're dying, they're in space, so you're not going to hear them anyways.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, yeah, I understand the pistol early on is not going to be powerful enough to kill the xenomorph, because one of the things I remember about Aliens Colonial, well, actually the Aliens movie, is that the reason why oh, bless you. The reason that they were able to kill most of the xenomorphs in the second Alien movie, Aliens, is because of the fact that they had high caliber rounds and such.
Actually, no, because the pulse rifle uses 10 millimeter. I mean, it's 10 millimeter rounds, so they're that honestly, there are pistols that use 10 millimeters. I mean, most pistols are 9 millimeters today.
Okay, so but
they're
what about that pistol
incendiary rounds?
Yeah.
So it's like they're piercing through that armor that the aliens have naturally, and they're exploding.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, like in Alien Isolation, when you eventually get like the shotgun or the bolt gun, that should have done something to like kill a xenomorph or two. But there's the fact that you learn, spoiler alert, that there are more than one on the station. That should have been the issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Like, but it does help in terms. Again, it's kind of like a what are you sacrificing for gameplay type stuff, I guess.
Yeah. And by the way, while I did get farther on my Alien Isolation game, I still haven't gotten around to finishing it.
Have you ever finished it?
I have never finished it yet. Because, like, the first time I played was a few years ago when I first got it. But like I said, I was, like, going so darn slow that I just, I got stuck around the time where I was supposed to get to the, the labs to jettison the first Xeno. And, yeah, it was like, that section where you got to have the Android at the console and then you got to pull these two switches.
Yeah.
Well, I was at that point, but it was like difficult to get it done because the dang xenomorph would not freaking, stay up in the vents long enough for me to do it. So it was like I kept trying to, not get spotted, not get killed. And not to mention, I was moving so darn slow at like a snail's pace. It's no wonder the xenomorph kept hounding me because I kept taking too long to do the job. So it was like I just could not figure out how I was going to get through that. So then that's why I didn't touch it for several years. But then earlier this year, when I saw you playing the game and realizing you were going at a much faster pace and were not getting killed as much, because the pace did not alert the xenomorph, I was like, you know what? Maybe if I tried like that, I'd stand a better chance. So I basically restart the whole game right from the beginning. And I got past the point where I got stuck at. Now I'm at the point where I got to make my way up to the communications, realign the array, and then start making my way off the station.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just
definitely a fun game. I mean, look, if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be playing it every year.
yeah. So yeah, I just got to make sure I don't. And I'm trying to kind of do it like I'm trying to do my first run where I don't get killed, so that way I can get that trophy right off the bat and not have to worry about it ever again. But yeah, when I'm about to like in the middle of the death animation, I'm trying to X out, like stop it so that pause it, force a pause, so that way I can just reload before the death is complete. So that way I can just I can hopefully still get the trophy by the end.
By the way, just I found the quote. So it's 10mm explosive tip, caseless, standard light armor piercing rounds. So that's what the pulse rifles fire. So yeah, you're dealing with armor piercing and explosive rounds.
Okay, so what caliber did that handgun in Alien Isolation seem to be?
Oh, that just looked like I want to say like it was a 40 mil.
Oh, okay.
Just from the looks of it, but I can double check.
Yeah, because I just feel like that I understand why that pistol might not do much effect, because compared to like a pulse rifle or smart gun or even a shotgun for that matter, it just seemed like it was ineffective for a reason. Because I mean, Hicks' shotgun blasted the Xenomorph's head off, but the shotgun in Colonial Marines just stuns it. It just seemed something.
Oh, it's a 357 revolver. Okay.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you get my drift on the shotgun thing?
The shotgun, I don't know what the shotgun. I mean,
well, what I'm trying to say is, I'm just trying to make a comparison. Remember in Aliens?
Oh, I think they're both 12-gauge shotguns. I think. So.
Yeah, he used the shotgun to blow one Xenomorph's head off. But in Alien Isolation, when you find the shotgun and you use it on the Xenomorph,
he did that. But also remember that, acid blood just sprayed everywhere onto his face and chest. So.
Well, yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Someone's darn car alarm went off.
All good.
I hate that. But yeah, essentially I mean, yeah, we know that the Xenomorph's blood sprayed all over the place, but still, that Xenomorph was killed by that shotgun blast to the face. But when in Alien Isolation, when you do the shotgun onto the Xenomorph, it does it only stuns it long enough for you to try and make a run for it, but it should kill the creature, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but again, they're going more for aliens and aliens in that game, so I'm fine with it. It helps with the fear factor, and that it's literally unkillable. Like, the only way to kill it is honestly, I think console commands.
Yeah, sorry, that darn alarm's still going off. Apparently, they're taking forever getting outside to try and turn it off. Wow, first a neighbor's dog, and now a neighbor's car alarm.
Yeah, neighbors can be dicks sometimes.
Yeah. But anyways, on to the next topic. In terms of like the Colonial Marines game and the AVP game from 2009, it seemed like the franchise knows where it wants to go. It's just the developers of these games are just too they're like either afraid or they don't have the balls to go there. It's like
honestly, it doesn't seem like the franchise has a direction, especially since, look, AVP came out in 2010. Aliens Colonial Marines came out in 2013. And now we have Fireteam Elite that came out in 2021. So there's a substantial time distance between these games, at least between a new game and the old games. And I doubt that there's no direction. It's very much just like, oh, what do we do with this franchise? Oh, let's make this type of game, and let's make that. Like, maybe years ago it did have a direction, but at the moment it feels very much like a studio by studio basis. Like, some studios know what they're doing, others just do not. Like, look at Alien Isolation. That came out a year after Colonial Marines, and It's incredible. It's amazing. Aliens Colonial Marines sucks. Or it's largely considered bad.
Yeah, because yeah, it just seems like but there is a sense of direction at least, because the
I
way
don't see
Aliens
one.
Aliens versus Predator and Aliens Colonial Marines, oh finally, way Aliens versus Predator and Aliens Colonial Marines were setting up, they were setting up for at least two things: a war between the Colonial Marines and the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and a race toward the alien homeworld. So it's like those are two things they are definitely, keeping in mind as they move forward, but it's just like they won't go there.
Yeah, but that's also something the comics were doing at the same time. It doesn't feel like a direction, like an overall direction, more as this is the popular idea, let's do that.
Ah,
It's
well,
kind of like, let's copy this guy's idea, and then they say, let's copy that guy's idea, who copied this guy's idea, and everyone ends up doing the same idea.
well, let me ask you this: as an Aliens fan, do you want a war between the Colonial Marines and Wei and a race to the alien homeworld?
Into Alien Homeworld stuff, I kind of like leaving that a mystery. I mean, obviously the comics did it, the Dark Horse comics did it, but like in terms of like video games and movies, no, keep that a mystery because that's the whole point of Alien. At least to me, the first movie especially, the entire premise is, or the messaging of the film is that it's fear of the unknown, and not that like you should fear the unknown. It's that the unknown itself is scary.
Ah,
Like, because you have no idea. Like, here's an alien parasite that latches onto your face and impregnates you with this, you know, perfect organism monster. Like that's like, how are you supposed to know that exists until you encounter it? That's the
yeah,
whole point. You don't know what's out there. Space is large and
the
largely
truth is
unexplored.
out there.
Like you have no idea what it consists of, and that's scary.
The truth is out there. That's an X-Files reference to anyone who doesn't know that. But yeah, I mean, I do understand the need to keep some of the mystery, but still, I mean, if you got two video games and the comics, seemingly implying there is a home world for the xenomorphs, and there's like some kind of brewing war between the Marines and the Wei Corporation, then it just seems almost like it's why won't they just go there? Why don't they just do it? I mean, I understand the movies, games, and such are haven't done it yet, but have the comics even considered doing that yet, or have they just been still implying but never actually going there?
I haven't been following the comics in years, but I think the old Dark Horse comics may have.
Oh,
I don't know. I haven't. Again, I haven't. It's been years.
yeah, because I mean, that's to me what I would do if I were to do a Alien 3 film to finally like wrap up the trilogy. Because I mean, we did get an Alien 3, and let's be honest, it's not a terrible film, but a lot of people were very, very turned off by the way that film opened.
It's such a mixed bag because it's a good film on its own. It's because it's a sequel to Aliens and it kills off fan favorite characters that it is a bad film in that regard. It's just it's a mixed bag. It's a controversial film.
Yeah, very. So to kind of make a less controversial sequel to that, in my opinion, I would open up my Alien 3 with Ellen Ripley and Hicks and a fully repaired Bishop, like running the Colonial Marines, and they're in the middle of like a battle simulation against some Wei private soldiers, and then it's revealed that their newest recruit is a older but still young Newt. It's like she's grown up with them. She's been taken under their wing. She's become a Marine herself, and but she has yet to actually see actual combat. Meanwhile, Ellen Ripley, Hicks, and Bishop, they've been doing this for a while now, and then they get the tip that, like, from the AVP video game, they get a tip that that Wei Yu has found the Xenomorph homeworld and they're on their way to it. So the Colonial Marines got to race Wei Yu there and beat them to it, destroy the Xenomorphs at the homeworld before it's too late, as well as finally take down Wei Yu once and for all. So and heck, you could even involve the Predators in this if you want, but they're not essentially necessary. You could keep it just between the Marines and Wei Yu and the Xenomorphs if you want. But yeah, when they get there, like something happens. Ripley gets impregnated with a Xeno, and it bursts out of her chest, and then sadly dies. So that just leaves Hicks, Bishop, and Newt. And then when they start battling Xenomorphs, one Xenomorph doesn't attack Newt. It's revealed that Xenomorph is the one that came from Ripley, and it recognizes her. So therefore, my idea is the Xenomorphs are revealed to be dark representations of whatever host they were bonded to.
I don't like that idea though with the Xenomorphs. Like, I love the idea that they're just monsters. Like, there's no face to them, literally. They're just like not the dark representation of the host, just essentially because it plays more into the unknown factor, where it's like that fear of.
Yeah, but sometimes even the fear of the unknown is fear of what's of the darkness within us as well.
Yeah, but this is more like, okay, it's literally just it's an alien parasite at the end of the day. Like, you're fearing the unknown, but once you do know it, what are you dealing with? You're dealing with an alien parasite that just all it sees you, a human being, as it just sees you as a disposable host,
a disposable breeding tool.
Right, and that's the whole point. It's not like, and I love that just humans are just expendable. Like, any species really is expendable to them. It doesn't matter what or who. It's just whereas because the whole point of the Aliens franchise, at least the first two movies, is you're dealing with I'm not even say corporate corruption, because at that point, really it's beyond corruption, but it's like corporate just shenanigans, and how it's like shenanigans are always about power plays, and how this guy wants to use the alien for this, and this guy's trying to screw over that guy for that, but the alien doesn't care about any of that. It just cares about making more of itself and killing everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what Ripley said. You don't see them fucking each other over for a percentage.
Right. So I don't like. Yeah, I don't. I know you're doing that with your version of the alien.
But I mean, and that's one of the great things about fan ideas for popular franchises. If if the property owners themselves won't use these ideas, then make your own. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's how we got Star Citizen, isn't it? That's like, it's like, was it based on like Star Trek and Star Wars?
No, it's a new thing. It's not based. I mean, it takes inspiration from pretty much everything, but it's not based on anything.
Okay, so not based on, but just inspired by.
If anything, it's based on Wing Commander and Freelancer, which are games that the guy heading it created. Like, so it's based on his own previous creations.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
If anything, but yeah, it's its own new thing. It's just kind of like, yeah, look, so it's not quite the same as say like someone making a alien-esque game. Like, it's not Alien, but it's very much inspired by Aliens type thing.
Hey there, Lindsay. Lindsay's cool. I first met her with the during a reading of the original Back to the Future Part 2 script.
Oh, cool. Yeah, hey, Lindsay. Yeah, I've spoken with her a few times in like Loki's Discord server and what are they, Culture Casino stream.
Yeah, she's cool. But yeah, that, like I said, since my idea for my Alien 3 is never going to be made by the studios, I'll just make my own version of Aliens and use that.
Isn't there a supposed Alien 5 in the works now?
there's been talks of that, and I always thought to myself, maybe that's what they were something along the lines of my idea is what they were going to do. Alien 5 would be basically, the Alien 3 we should have gotten, where, Ripley, Hicks, Newt, and Bishop didn't die.
That was definitely unfortunate.
Yeah, we know the feeling.
It was a good it was a good film, except for the fact that they literally just killed everyone's favorite characters.
Yeah, I mean, after you've seen the first Alien, and then you go into Aliens, where you not only have the surviving character from the first film, but now you got a handful of surviving characters. You got this cute little girl who gives Ripley the happiness she's been denied. You got this soldier dude who's pretty cool and suave and good for Ripley. And then you got this android who's not what we expected, and we like him for that. So then when you all of a sudden just kill 3 of the 4 of them off at the beginning of the third film, that's almost like a spit in the face. So in terms of quality for Colonial Marines, how would you what would you say to that?
Colonial Marines, again, it's such a weird thing, because Colonial Marines, apparently a lot of not all of it wasn't all just like one solvable issue, but a lot of it was because of a mistype of a single digit in the code, or a single character, I should say. Essentially, what should have been a K was an L or something like that, and that's why the AI is complete garbage. It doesn't make the AI, insanely better. It improves them though when you fix that. But yeah, it's so a lot of it was there's so many problems with that game. Like it has a lot of good ideas, but just poor execution, I think, is the best way to describe that game in one sentence.
Because to sum it up, essentially, you basically start off on your ship, the Sephora. You go over to the Sulaco after, it's mostly abandoned, but you find out you're not the only team that was on there. There was a team on there first, and then they're pretty much all slaughtered, and you're trying to survive on the ship. But then all of a sudden, Wei Yu hijacks the Sulaco and blows the Sephora up, and then you basically are forced to pilot the Sulaco down to the planet. And then you got to find a drop ship to get off the planet. So it's an interesting idea of crap hitting the fan, and you're stuck unless you can get yourself off. And that sounded a lot better in my head.
No, I mean, it's pretty much, it's constant, like, you keep having hurdles thrown at you and then have to cope.
Yeah. And it leads to a situation where this is your last chance. If you don't do this, you ain't getting out of here alive. And I do like how, the DLC kind of explored how, Hicks got brought back. Still sucks, though, that they didn't, try to retcon the whole, Ripley, Newt, and Bishop thing from Alien 3.
Well, they made Alien 3 somewhat canon in that game too, because
I know, and it sucks. I mean, really, they should have just pretended Alien 3 didn't happen.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, and that's the thing. Is I would love essentially just replace all essentially Alien 3 if it wasn't Ripley and it wasn't Newt and Bishop and Hicks. If it was just okay, you can essentially keep those characters, but call them something else, and that's the start of this new character's adventure. You could have done something simple. You could have done something simple. You could have had it where the company found the Sulaco, but something went wrong. So the hypersleep pods that the idea of, okay, here's a crew, right? A crew of 4 that just survived an experience with the alien, now crashing on this prison planet type thing. You can have that, but essentially just call the character something else, and it was played by different actors. no one would be upset about it because it's not the characters that we all love.
Yeah,
It's new
that way,
characters that are
that way,
just
the 4 that we
you're
know and
introduced to
love,
the
they
first
got
time.
away.
Like instead of like, oh, here's your favorite character, they're now dead, feel bad. It's more like, oh, this new character, like all 4 characters on this little cryopod that got ejected is, we're being introduced to them the first time. 3 of them were being introduced to for the first time as corpses. So it's not so much as, oh no, these characters are dead. Like who cares? We're just meeting them for the first time. They're dead when we meet them. But it's more like, okay, this character that did survive are, the corpse is now being used as a way to kind of give her emotion, or him, depending on what you want to do, an emotional backstory. Like, oh crap, like their friends just died upon awakening. Like it adds to the trauma that the character's enduring throughout the film.
Yeah.
At least that's how I would have done. Like again, Alien 3, the story is good. It's just that they, just the intro and killing off my favorite characters from Aliens is, a huge why.
Yeah, that's why it's essentially. I don't mean to get too modern with this. It's essentially kind of like The Last Jedi in that respect. Because I mean, when you kill off your favorite character so, coldly without any good reason, and just so that you can tell this other story, it's kind of makes you wonder, why are we watching it? Right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I just like if you want to have a character, like, okay, here's this character, and they're 2 new characters. One's an older mentor-esque character, and the other one's the new young character that you're going to be following throughout the adventure. And you want to show that this younger character is going through, immense trauma and extremely difficult experiences throughout this adventure. You don't have to use an established character in that universe in order to show that, because this way it resonates with the audience. You can have a brand new character if written well, like both of them being new characters. If written well, you can have that old character be like likable and all that, and then all of a sudden they die, and it can be a blow to both the audience and the characters on screen, without it having to be like a fan favorite pre-existing character. So, I mean, as controversial, not even controversial, because Cyberpunk was just completely worldwide panned for how it went, and rightly so. But in that game, like you have Jackie. They introduced this character Jackie, and he gets killed off in the first segment of the game. After you kind of get to know him and get to like him, and all of a sudden he's killed off, and it's like, damn, he was the best character in the game.
I know. So yeah, I mean, when you kill off Newt, Ripley, Hicks, and Bishop in one movie just to tell a story,
off screen, might I add.
Yeah, well, 3 of them, killed. Well, 2 killed off screen. One of them was fully deactivated, and then halfway through the film, and then the final character dies at the end. So it just seemed like a very downer movie. And growing up, I was under the impression that even the best horror movies have to end on a hopeful note. You know what I mean?
I suppose, but there are some really good ones that don't.
Well, I do know that there were intentions for Alien, the first film, to end on a dark note where the xenomorph kills Ripley, and then it somehow is able to mimic her voice, and it was heading to Earth. So that I can understand. That would have made an interesting dark ending, but still, I kind of like that we didn't get that, because if we did get that, we wouldn't have gotten Aliens.
Right. No, I was thinking more like in The Thing. It's kind of implied, like, is it really MacReady or MacReady, or is it, is it The Thing? Like, you never know. You're kind of left open. It's open-ended for your interpretation. That's what I loved about the ending of that film. It's like, holy crap, did MacReady actually kill it, or is it now MacReady?
Okay, well, I have not seen The Thing, but I'm slightly familiar. I know about how it opens with like a flying saucer crash landing, because
essentially The Thing can mimic anything. So.
Okay,
Like, it's
Yeah,
a
I did know that. I mean, like
horror
I
movie.
said, I may not have seen the film, but I got a bit of an idea about it. So
There's also a
yeah,
good horror movie that I saw called It Follows, which it's pretty much a horror movie about STDs.
yeah,
And in it, at the end, like you have the couple like happy, like okay, they got rid of the It Follows, and it's like they're happy they finally got rid of it, and then it pans to someone following them in the background. It's like, oh, maybe they didn't.
I will get to it. I promise. But yeah, I think that's more of a Carpenter horror film trope. Is that he ends the movies on either a dark or a mysterious note. Because, like you said, The Thing, that was a Carpenter film, I believe, and
Yes.
that
Oh, yeah,
and
it was.
and
At
he
least
and
the
he
version I'm referring to.
yeah, so he ends it where you don't know if the guy is actually the guy or if it actually is the thing. And then of course you got the first Halloween film where he shoots Michael out 6 times out of the window from the second floor. And then he checks on Lori and to make sure she's all right, and then he goes to check the body and the body's gone. So like, is he still alive, or did he just crawl away or whatever? He's still out there. So it's hopeful, but at the same time, it is kind of dark, mysterious, and scary still. So I think that's more of a Carpenter trope, and Hollywood always went for the more hopeful ending. Is that it?
Probably.
Okay. Well, I mean, the way I see it, there's something to be said about both the Carpenter style ending and the Hollywood style ending to horror films.
Yeah, it just depends on who's writing it, who's directing it, how it's executed.
Yeah,
It's
and more importantly, how the story is, told leading up to said ending. Like, if you have a movie that's all dark, then maybe you should do the dark ending. But if you have a movie that is like all goofy, even though it's supposed to be horror, maybe you should have the hopeful ending. But then you kind of want to do the opposite for both. Like, maybe if you have a mostly dark film, maybe you should do the light ending and the hopeful ending. And then maybe if you have a goofy film, you should have the dark ending for that. What do you think?
I think it depends on the story you're going for. Like, are you going for that, John Carpenter style horror where it's all about the horror isn't in some of his films. Yeah, the thing, like, yeah, the creature itself is horrific to some. Honestly, I've seen worse in real life. But for me, the real horror in some of those films isn't the creature is frightening or anything like that. It's the uneasiness of, like, okay, the characters, who do you trust? Like, who done it type thing. And that's the true horror, because it's like, who do you trust? Can you, is the thing literally here? Is it not? Like, that's the John Carpenter style, I think, that really works, and why he's able to get rid of that open-ended, because the whole point of the film is, who can you trust? Who is the thing?
Yeah.
And at the end, you don't know, like, because that's the whole point, is who can, like, it doesn't answer the question. The question's left open. Who can you trust?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas something like Alien, where it's all about the unknown and figuring it out. I mean, the first film is just all about the unknown and how deadly it can be and how scary it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second film is more about how to learn about it and fight it.
So what would be the ideal third film for about the dealing with the unknown?
I need more time. I can't do that on the spot.
Okay, just thought I'd put it out there is all. So yeah, if like your first film is trying to understand the unknown, and the second is about how to fight it, then yeah, how do you do a third film to that? So let's let everyone ponder on that one.
Well, you can actually make the argument that maybe the second one's more about surviving it, and then the third one can be about fighting it.
Okay, well that's good. That's actually a good one. That's a good 3-step deal there.
Because, I mean, think about it. They weren't really fighting it so much as just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Movie. Like, if they were fighting it, then it would have been more like Aliens Fireteam Elite versus the movie Aliens.
Yeah. But
even
still,
blasting away zombies that look like xenomorphs.
Yeah, but even still, a game like Fireteam should have definitely had more of a horror feel, and
Oh yeah, because that's horror is just inherent in the Alien franchise. Like it's part of its genetic code.
yeah. And on the matter of like the AVP game from 2009,
Great game.
huh?
Great game.
Oh yeah, great game. What is your take on the whole story of that game?
The story for anyone who doesn't know, just real quick, it's pretty much a let's see. Weyland Yutani finds an ancient predator, a Yaoja temple, and in it is a very pro. It's not the first, but I think it's led to believe you're led to believe that it's the first xenomorph queen that the predators have ever encountered. And so they find it, they awaken it, make it, it has eggs, and the facehuggers come out of the eggs, but in a controlled, when I say controlled, that's a term I use loosely here, in a controlled environment where they literally have like pods of human being, unwilling test subjects, with their faces facing towards the eggs. And, then they're impregnated, then later they're in the pods again, and they have they're in tubes with almost airlocks around their chest. So this way, when the xenomorph comes out, the little chest burster comes out and trapped inside this little in this tube that they can then move into a secure facility to experiment on. And in it, obviously because again, you in that game you play as an alien, a predator, and a marine. The alien that you play as doesn't come out of a chest, but comes out of the guy's mouth. So it's the first throat burster. And it's, the whole point is like, okay, the alien you're playing as is very clever and all that, and that's why you're that alien, because it's the player alien. The player alien's all obviously kind of be godlike. But essentially they're experimenting with the aliens, trying to like train them and kind of use them as weapons. Or turn them into weapons. And then obviously all hell breaks loose because the alien queen is, they got a hive mind, so the alien queen communicates with you, the player alien, to break out and kill everyone.
But
break out
really
your brothers and sisters or whatever.
But the alien really broke out because it was at the precise moment that the Weyland Yutani opened the pyramid and created an energy surge, and that's what caused the electronics to go haywire, allowing the alien.
Which then sent a signal to the Predator ship, which is why they showed up. The Marines showed up to fight the xenomorph outbreak. And then right after the Marines show up and launch several platoons of Marines down to the surface, Predator ship shows up, decloaks, destroys the Marine ship, and then launches 3 Predator ships into the surface. And essentially the entire thing is you're trying to stop all the shenanigans that are happening.
Yeah.
And it's a good story. I really liked it. I thought it was I even said when I played it, that is what the AVP movies should have been.
Yeah. And also, here's another thing in terms of like AVP. Years ago, there was like this AVP arcade game that seemed to it was supposed to be, I believe it was set during the time of the Aliens franchise, but there was like this android that was supposed to resemble Arnold Schwarzenegger, and his name was Dutch, Predator reference, and he had like a large cybernetic arm. So do you think such a character should exist in, like, there should be an android based on Dutch in the Aliens timeline?
I mean, they could do it, but honestly, I know a lot of people want to see Dutch in return and everything, and I would love to as well. I'd love to see kind of, Dutch is back battling the Predator, but actual Dutch, not an android knockoff. Like, I want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dutch. Obviously, we're never going to get this, especially since he's way too old now.
Well, we technically did get Dutch returning in Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yeah, but really, Predator Hunting Grounds.
I admit the game's not perfect, but it can be fun. They just need to get more maps. I mean, dealing with the jungle.
They also need
so
to
long.
rebalance the entire game.
Yeah, and not to mention, yeah, like I said, they need the more maps. There was this promotional image of 3 potential new maps to go along with the jungle. One was a snowy environment, the second was a wildfire, and the third was a city.
Yeah, that would be nice. But yeah, I wanted to see. I always thought it'd be really cool to see like a Predator 3 would have been okay. Here's Dutch, he's back, and now like almost I don't want to say like Alien, not Alien, Predators, the movie Predators, which did have some good ideas, but overall was not a great film. I think largely because of the cast and the fact that it was literally just Predator the movie again, but now they're not on Earth.
Yeah, but I will say I enjoyed Predators because
Well, I said it had good ideas. I'm just saying that it was
yeah.
poorly executed. I didn't like.
But
I
to me, it
loved
also it recaptured the vibe of the first film, and not to mention, even though it was mostly John Debney who did the music, he definitely recaptured the feel and the sound of Alan Silvestri.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like the characters though, like you're following these characters, like you have to make the characters that you're following interesting. Otherwise, why are you watching this? Because the whole point is these characters are in a life or death situation. If you don't like the characters, you're just gonna want them to die or just not watch the film because they might as well be dead.
Yeah, because yeah, I do understand that. I mean, I thought Isabel was an interesting character.
That was like the only character I liked, and it was only because she was an Israeli sniper.
Yeah, but also, I mean, Royce was trying to be interesting. I mean, you know, you knew he was a mercenary and all that. He was like trying to come off as like the new Dutch in a way, but he's so like emotionally detached a lot of the time. It's like, why should you care about this guy?
That's the thing is like, yeah, Dutch was like the cool badass leader, but he was human. Like, it's not like he was a robot, you know, giving orders.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, he, after all, one of his first things was, "You son of a bitch."
Well, and that, but like even okay, say ignore the intro stuff. Like when they're in the jungle, because that's essentially when this movie's starting. Is you're starting from the jungle part of the film, not the actual intro of the film. And in that, you know, he's they find Hopper, right? They find Lieutenant Hopper's chopper, and it's like, you know, they're skinned alive, and he's like all upset about it because like I knew this man, he was a good man, like.
Yeah, and not to mention, you know, of all the you know, the moment they find Anna, you know, the gorilla chick, she he hated that he had just belted her with his gun, you know, and but at the same time,
like, oh crap.
Yeah, it's like because you know he does have a conscience.
Right, which is why they were so, because that plays into the intro that you know, I just said that we'd theoretically be skipping, but in that intro they kind of play more in with the conscience, like, no, we do selective jobs, search and rescue missions and stuff because we're not just killers.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, and then his best friend, his old friend Dylan, tricked him into going into such an assignment.
Yeah, I would love to see like Dutch, you know, in a Predator style thing where now he's taking the fight to them and hunting them using their tactics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But well, honestly, we're never going to get that. So,
well, I will say this: I know you may not like the hunting grounds game. I know a lot of people may have their issues with that. I at least enjoy how they at least explain what happened to Dutch since that first film, all the way up to the events of the game. Because it actually turns out he was looking for them, hunting them. You know, he was following the stories, the ghost stories of the devil who makes trophies of men. And basically, he actually was intending to get to LA, you know, but it was like by the time he got there, the action was already over with. So, yeah, it's like, it's interesting to know that he actually has been on the lookout, and he actually went up toe-to-toe with it in the mid-2000s against a female predator. In fact, maybe that's what we do need in a in a new Predator film. We need to see the female Predator, see how different they are compared to like the males. What do you think?
I would kind of like to see like almost like a team thing where it's like you have a team of predators hunting a team of humans, and not in the way the predators did it, where it's like they're each choosing a target, like literally like a team versus a team. Like they're both working as teams.
Well, we know that when the hunters
like you have a team of 3 predators versus a team of like 5 humans or 7 humans or something like that. Make it in balance because like 3 humans is worth 1 predator, but like have something like that where like the 3 predators are working together. They're really tight knit. They're something similar to what the 2004 AVP movie did, where like you had the 3 predators working together until they stopped working together.
Yeah.
But
that was my issue with the AVP films. Is here's the thing: I didn't know much of. I actually didn't know nothing about the Aliens franchise until AVP. I already knew about the Predator franchise because as a kid growing up in the '90s, I was a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I saw Predator, and then I saw Predator 2, and even though it didn't have Arnold, I still enjoyed it because, it was the Predator. And so, when AVP, the first film, came out, I was like, oh, yes, I got to get involved in this. So, yeah, I went into that film a diehard Predator fan. I was like, I want to see.
Honestly, that's how I went into it, too, because I didn't get into Alien until until much, much later.
Yeah. And then so when I saw AVP and then I saw 2 predators get killed off so easily, like right off the bat, I was like, what the hell is this shit? I mean, seriously, the predators were made to be badasses. Yes, they're known to die at the end, but they are made into badasses in the original films.
I mean, they did it to show like, oh, look how lethal the xenomorph is. And that's fine. I just think, they could have done it a little better, especially that first one. That first one dies like a total sissy.
Yeah, he got stabbed from behind while cloaked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but the second one, he having seen his friend get killed like that, he should have dominated. He should have killed that grid xenomorph.
It's not even just that. It's that he dies. He doesn't get stabbed and then die. He gets stabbed, then the xenomorph lifts him for that cool poster shot, and then does the jaw thing. And it's just like, look, he should have at least tried to fight his way out of that. Like, oh, okay, I just cut myself free, and then you have a scene where the Predator's healing himself, like in every other Predator film. Again, as I said, AVP 2010, the game, is what the movie should have been.
Agreed. I think we can all agree there.
First off, like just for starters, it should not have been set during modern day. It should have been set during the Aliens timeline, like that future, in the Aliens future.
Mm-hmm. Because I mean,
that's what the AVP comic books were. So
yeah. Now, I am curious about something. I mean, how much of the comics should be canon in Alien and Predator films?
I would say easily like 72 to 75% of them.
Okay, so I know that there was like this thing where a human was taken in by the Predators and made into a Predator herself. So should that be a canon thing?
I mean, I love the idea because they have a very, albeit sadistic, but code of honor. So
yeah, because there's a theory that that's what they were going to do with Arnold in the Predators film. Like at the very end, there was this initial ending where after Royce and Isabel survive, a new Predator ship lands, but they don't look like the ones that forcibly brought them to this planet. And then as a result, the Predators line up to let their leader walk down. Their leader removes the mask, and it's revealed to be Dutch, saying, well, you done good, kid. You done good. So, yeah, it's like it was implying that that's where Arnold was, that he became a Predator himself. So, do you think that's a thing that can happen?
What, just humans becoming, like, being taken in by certain Yaoja clans to become Predators?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a cool concept that definitely needs to be explored more. Not to the point where it's like, okay, now you have like entirety of clans that are comprised like fully of humans or whatever. Like, no, not something like that, but like where even AVP teased this a bit, where it's like, oh, they kind of made her an honorary member. of their clan.
Yeah. So like maybe human survivors who survived an ordeal with aliens or predators, maybe they are the ones who are honored to be members of the clans.
Well, yeah, obviously, all the humans always like they're taken in because they either inadvertently or prove themselves in one way or another to the Yaojas.
Okay.
Soul Assassin also brings up a good point. Like those predators in AVP were not full warriors, but inexperienced young bloods. Which is like
but even still,
they just started their adventures in hunting.
Yeah, but even still, a young blood could probably shouldn't die like a punk.
Well, as I said, like I'm fine with them getting killed that early on. It's just the guy that got stabbed. Like, okay, the guy that was wrestling with the xenomorph, fine. Yeah. Death, that's fine. Like he actually fought his to the death.
Yeah.
But the guy that got stabbed, he didn't even try to free himself. He's kind of like, well, I give up now.
Well, not so much. Yeah, it's like he got impaled from behind. How are you going to break free from that? And how far are you going to get?
Cut the tail, free.
Cut the tail, and the acid burns his insides.
No, not from the. There's a way to do it. It just, he didn't have to. He could have at least fought a little bit.
Yeah, I understand.
His options were not just like, oh, he has no options other than death.
An AVP is an AVP Requiem really is sinful because I understand that Predator went to Earth to essentially cover up the whole not just the xenomorphs but also the Predator presence. But it's like he kind of he got distracted like when he killed that one hunter. Or not the hunter, the sheriff dude or the deputy. And then when he was fighting the xenomorphs in the hospital, he carelessly threw his shuriken and it killed an unarmed human woman. So yeah, it basically broke the code of honor.
Then again, that movie itself is like a real shit show.
Yeah, not to mention it was
also really dark. Like really like you can't see a damn thing in that film.
Well, in the nighttime or the dark areas, you can't see anything.
Even but in the daylight areas, you can't see anything.
Yeah, any dark area, you can't see shit. But yeah, it's just
also Soul Assassin mentions the name of that human predator, Machiko Nagochi.
Ah. Yeah, Machiko Nagochi. Is she Japanese? Because, I mean, it sounds like a Japanese name.
I mean, sort of. I'm just trying to remember if it's like Japanese descent or just actual Japanese or whatever. As I said, I don't know the full story of the character, so I honestly cannot.
Okay, I'm on the wiki page here. It says that known as small knife, dat 2D small knife by the Yaochu. I can't freaking say the name right. The Yaocha.
Soul Assassin also mentions that the first AVP is a fun watch, though he also would have made changes to the story.
Yeah, everyone. For one thing, that film should not have been PG-13. It should have gotten a solid R. They should not have been afraid to pull away from like graphic death scenes and such like that.
Also, should have, again, as I said, should have been set in Aliens, the Colonial Marines future, not the present day.
Yeah, I mean. And that's another thing I really don't like about Hollywood these days is that you're trying to continue franchises that were built on the R rating. You know, Terminator, Aliens,
right?
Predator.
But they want to make them PG-13 for because that's honestly kid oriented films sell the best.
Hey, Terminator 2 Judgment Day was R rated, yet that still got marketed to kids.
That was then.
Yeah, now and they can still be if they just stop being a bunch of freaking hypocritical pansy asses.
Oh, I'm not saying that they have to make them kids. I want more not necessarily R-rated and like it has to have so much gore and violence. Like it just the tone needs to be a bit darker, I think, for certain films. Like because right now everyone's trying to do the Marvel thing where it's jokes and trying to build franchises and universes. And
Well, not so much the Marvel
stuff.
thing, so much as the Whedon thing. Marvel's trying to do Joss Whedon's humor, and they just don't get it.
Hell, Joss Whedon's humor doesn't really work like second time around type
It
thing.
works
Like,
in certain things, in certain ways, but yeah, they just don't.
Yeah, I guess you can take a film by film basis. Like some films, his humor works, some it doesn't. Alien 4, it doesn't. I would say the Avengers 1 and 2 definitely work. Like you can rewatch those; they're fine. I know a lot of people don't like Avengers. Hell, I hate Ultron in Avengers 2. Just because I remember like, oh, Ultron's the villain, yes. And then seeing Ultron and just being disappointed even further as the trailers and then the film came out. Like, really, that was Ultron? Like,
well, the one thing that my stepdad and I kind of liked,
robot that only knows hate and is just literally the epitome of evil robot.
Well, to be fair, they did kind of give him a personality in this film. They were trying to make him evil Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And one thing my stepdad and I both liked was the fact that they had him, not exactly singing, but really just saying the lyrics of that Pinocchio song, "There Are No Strings on Me." It was so haunting.
I've heard worse.
Yeah.
It was annoying more than anything. They were trying to go for that haunting, but it was more annoying.
What I was curious about was the fact that his mouth was able to move, like he had actual lips. But
that's again, Ultron is the epitome of an evil robot. He has to look the part, which is why the original version of the character is such an iconic and distinct look. That screaming robot head is just like it. He has aside from his humanoid form, the whole point of Ultron is that he hates humanity. He hates, the fleshlings. He hates, organic creatures, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with them. Like, yeah, he's humanoid in form because that's a most efficient form, but he doesn't ever want, there's I have an issue of Spider-Man where he shows up to meet with Kingpin, and he's in disguise, like the human disguise and everything. The second he shows up in Kingpin's office, he just burns through the disguise. Like, I hate this, like, get this shit off me type thing. Because he hates humanity that much. Like, he's doing, essentially, his meeting with Kingpin's like doing a deal with the devil, a means to an end. But the end being the end of humanity. So, yeah. It's like, it's a means to an end.
Yeah, if anything, they should have just had whatchamacallit, James Spader, the actor who voiced Ultron in Age of Ultron. They should have had him wear an Ultron headpiece helmet that looked like the head of Ultron, and the mouth does not move, but he can still talk
in the film. The way they did recording was he was wearing essentially a little hat,
motion capture suit,
falls on coils or something. So like this way, his eyes were like another head above him.
Yeah. But even still, they could have had they could have forged. But even still, they could have made an Ultron head prop that would have, the mouth would not need to move, but you can still have some kind of voice modulator inside the mouth.
No, because again, they were going for. I'm fine with they want to go for the ultra tall whatever Ultron. Fine, that's been done before. It's just that they were using the head. Tennis balls were resembling the eyes, like a head above.
I know. I'm just talking about the mouth part. That's the part that bothers me.
But again, it was going to be done in post anyway, so it's like they're doing it full. Like Ultron's fully CG, so even the little Ultron bots that actually did look good.
Yeah,
that's another thing too. Is like Ultron's design in that film is very just basic and not in the good way, like basic as in it looks like everything else.
Yeah.
I know there's a word for it. I just hate using that word because it's thrown around way too much in my opinion. But he looks like every other Hollywood robot in terms of design.
Yeah, the big gray villain.
Like I wanted to see like the actual Ultron, like the humanoid looking Ultron of, he looks like he has, like he doesn't have to be,
you want a good Ultron? Look at Avengers. you want a good Ultron? Look at Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the cartoon show.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, whatchamacallit, but yeah, in terms, and that's another thing too. We're talking about, Avengers: Age of Ultron and how
We got way off topic.
I know, but it actually does kind of go back to another thing with the Aliens franchise. Is that Age of Ultron, you could have had like a guy in a suit of armor, looking like a robot, but instead you just had a motion capture dude, and like you made the metal, the CG metal, just as flexible as the actual human flesh, which was silly, by the way.
It's the same like bullcrap as with Transformers, in my opinion, where they have like Optimus Prime has fucking mouth and lips and nose. I apologize for swearing. Just
hey, it's okay. I swear all the time on my streams.
Like, look, when I say I'm a Transformers fan, like I grew up with the G1 comics. In those comics, he never had a mouth, ever. He like behind the faceplate was like a freaking speaker.
Yeah, and heck, even Bumblebee has a speaker.
Why does he need a mouth underneath the faceplate? He's not a human. He's not a breathing apparatus. He's a robot.
Yeah, and heck, even Bumblebee had a speaker, like a...
Right, exactly. It's like, so... I never liked Prime with a mouth. I honestly, Optimus Prime, all different character. It works there. It's fine. And plus, that's where the faceplate that can actually close and open, that's where that comes from. It's Beast Wars.
Yeah.
But, like Optimus Prime, no, he doesn't have a mouth. He has a mouth plate, doesn't have a mouth.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, he has a, like, nose, I guess, that's sculpted. But, I mean, again, the Transformers all have noses. They're not really functional.
But yeah, anyways, talking about the CG versus practical Ultron kind of leads me to like the CG versus practical Xenomorphs.
And let's take us back to the aliens.
And even the Predators, because like I said, well, actually, I haven't said it yet. In the Predator, that awful movie,
Black abomination.
Yeah, I mean, you had one Predator that was practical, but then you introduced this taller, bigger CG mess. And yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, that's typical Hollywood for you. They think bigger means better. So.
Well, sometimes yes, but not always. Sometimes when you go big, you gotta then take it back and then go big again. But no, they just want to keep going bigger and bigger and bigger until it blows up, and it's gonna blow up in their faces like an Acme Dynamite kit.
Or hurricane seeds.
But yeah,
poor little Wile E. Coyote.
But yeah, I mean, and in regards to the alien isolation topic here, see, if you look at how the alien was in a suit or was as a suit in the original film, and then you look how in the
original films, the aliens as well.
Yeah, but here's the thing: in both films, it like the Xenomorphs like walked on the balls of their feet along with their
they're walking on their hind legs like a human being because it was a guy in a suit.
Yeah, but the thing was in Alien Isolation, it really, you could tell they were on the hinds of their suit, right. The hinds of their feet. So, or whatever the saying is.
They were on their haunches, and I think that's the term. And they did crawl around in that game, especially on Nightmare, because look, just full disclosure, I got Alien Isolation night of release, and I've been playing it annually ever since. And this past February, I played it for the first time on a live stream. And I'm like, well, I've played this game every year. Like, I've played this game to death, and then some, literally. So, like, I need to do something special because I'm live streaming it for the first time. That's not enough. So I decided to play it on Nightmare for the first time because I've never played it on the highest difficulty Nightmare.
And I was a witness to that.
And you were a witness. And in the Nightmare version, at least what I noticed in my playthrough was the alien will on occasion just crawl around even when he's just walking around a hallway, almost like in Aliens rather than in the first film. Which definitely adds to the creepy factor.
Yeah. And but yeah, I mean, I just realized going back to the original films, there are moments where you can't see it on its hind legs, and because there's actually this Oh, by the way, I did find out Machiko Noguchi. She was a Chigusa Corporation employee and administrator in charge of Prosperity Wells Colony. Yeah, it was basically named like she probably was Japanese for all we know.
Well, I mean, just the name,
or at least of Japanese
she
descent.
worked for makes sense, especially given that future is very most corporate futures usually involve Japanese corporations. So
yeah,
Japanese inspirations. Soul Assassin says, "I never watched a movie more than The Predator."
Yeah, and I don't blame him. I actually saw that movie, and I'm regretting that I saw it.
And I remember why. Aside from just it looked horrible.
I am regretting that I even saw that film.
I was sitting with my uncle, who we're both big Alien fans, especially because at this point, like, I'm all about the Alien franchise now. So at that point, we watched it. The first trailer for The Predator came out, and we're watching it together. And the opening of the trailer says, "From the guy that made, from the director of Iron Man 3," and I just. And this wasn't on purpose. I just instinctively, audibly said, "Wow, that is a great way to advertise a failure."
Yeah, because I mean, I've seen Iron Man 3. I was going into it all pumped, all ready to love it, because I mean, we were finally getting the Mandarin. He was the big bad of Iron Man.
By the way, I covered this on my own channel a few months ago. But do you know why we never got the Mandarin?
I know that Jon Favreau wanted to try to do the classic Mandarin from the comics in the first film. It was supposed to be Iron Man versus both the Mandarin and Ironmonger, but he just had a hard time making a realistic take on the classic comic character without it being too comic booky, and that's why he ditched the Mandarin and just had the 10 Rings be a terrorist group, kind of like the Ra's al Ghul League of Shadows from the Batman Begins.
So the reason why he never showed up again, in future films, though, was, according to an interview with Kevin Feige by Rotten Tomatoes, it's essentially, and this was an interview regarding the Shang-Chi movie, but in it they asked about the Mandarin because of the 10 Rings and the title of that film, of the new Shang-Chi film.
Yeah,
and he's essentially, what it boiled down to was they didn't want to have an American hero fighting a Chinese villain, because that would not fly in China.
What a load of crock. That is a bullshit excuse. That is not the reason.
That's not the actual answer they gave, because obviously they're not going to be fully upfront about it. But I mean, it's just, that is the reason
pandering.
Why.
That's what it is. It's pandering.
That is the legitimate reason as to why we never got the Mandarin in the film until now. Are we actually even getting the Mandarin? I haven't been following Shang-Chi.
Well, here's the thing. In the original comics, Shang-Chi is the son of
I know about Shang-Chi's original comics. I have a lot of team up.
Yeah, he's the son of Fu Manchu.
Yeah, Fu Manchu is his father, and he leads.
Yeah, well, apparently this movie is retconning that and saying the Mandarin is his father.
Oh, okay, so the Mandarin is in the film.
Yeah, the Mandarin is in the film and is his father, not Fu Manchu, because Fu Manchu is too insensitive.
I mean, you do know Shang-Chi was literally Marvel's knockoff Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
You know when Shang-Chi was
this is freaking messed up Disney, being hypocritical, thinking they know better when they don't know shit.
So just a little history on Shang-Chi. So Shang-Chi was created in 1973, right after a very, very, very extremely amazing and popular film that came out that same year. That also had it also starred Kung Fu, and that was Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally Marvel's Bruce Lee. Like, they made we need to capitalize on the success of this film because everyone's doing Kung Fu nowadays. Like, that, it was during the big Kung Fu thing of the 70s. So
yeah. See, that's the thing. Not every character in Marvel is meant to be this great character. I mean, yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy were made great because, going into that movie, no one knew who the hell they were. And I've heard the name, but they came off as like D-list characters.
It also depends on because originally they were very different than the version of the characters they went with and all that. So
yeah. But I mean, if you're going to do a Shang-Chi story, just make him the modern day Bruce Lee. Simple as that.
Well, yeah, but honestly, we can go on about Shang-Chi for the next like 2 hour. But
yeah,
back to Alien.
But back to the Mandarin thing. Yeah, it's like they screwed the Mandarin over. He's supposed to be an Iron Man villain, not a Shang-Chi character, and basically they that's why Iron Man 3 is reviled, and the fact that the Predator was marketed as the movie from the guy who directed Iron Man 3.
I'm gonna find just that opening shot of it. Look, I'll find the trailer just so I can show the opening shot because it is funny.
Hey Scotty, how's it going? But yeah, the Iron Man 3, like I said, I went into it loving the Mandarin because I figured they were going to do a more realistic take on him, but still he was going to be the big bad, the arch nemesis. But then halfway through, when they did that reveal, I laughed at first, but then after the movie was over, I was like, huh?
My reaction for that was kind of just like, what the hell is this? What are we doing? What is this?
I will admit to laughing when he did ole, 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 ole. But it was like by the end of the movie,
Ben Kingsley could have been a good the Predator. Sorry, I'm reading the trailer here. The Mandarin, is Chinese usually, but they could have made Ben Kingsley the Mandarin, and if he was actually the character of the Mandarin, no one would have complained.
Yeah. So yeah,
I mean, you're going to have like some annoying people that are going to complain, but like for the most part, you had a good portrayal of the evil Mandarin from and it's Ben Kingsley instead of a Chinese guy. Okay.
Like, heck, you could have even had him be
this way solves your whole oh no Chinese villain.
Heck, you could have even had a have him be like either an American or a Brit who was born and raised in China.
And the whole point of the Mandarin in his 10 rings are the 10 rings are alien generators that he found on Fing Fang Foom's ship.
Yeah, and I understand that's not what it actually is, but I always felt like that was the original intent, that the Mandarin's rings were meant to be magic. So therefore, that's why I always liked
they've retconned what his rings are 10 times over now.
Okay. But yeah, I'm going by what they initially were meant to be, which was magic. So that's why I feel like what Mandarin being Iron Man's arch nemesis is great, because you have a tech wizard versus a magic wizard, which is the better of the two. What do you think?
I mean, I love the idea of you have magic versus tech. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, but sadly they couldn't make it realistic in the Jon Favreau films. And here's the thing: Iron Man 3 could have gotten away with it.
That I think it goes to show about writing, because you can. It's not. I'm not going to say it's not difficult. I'm just saying it's possible. It's just they couldn't do it.
But then Iron Man 3 could have made it work, because then it was set after the first Avengers film, where you had a God of Thunder in Thor. So yeah, there's your loophole. But they didn't want to even try it. But yeah, anyways, like I was saying here, this image here of the Xenomorph, I don't know. I think this is like, was this probably from a shot taken from the making of Alien Covenant?
What?
This image here that I'm screen sharing.
I don't know. You got the image, not me.
I found the image. I don't know what it's from.
I think so.
But I mean, you notice that
the dorsal fins.
Yeah, but you notice that that it's like the alien is like standing on the balls of its feet. It almost is trying to look like it's on its
man. Yeah, I mean, this is similar to what they did with the original Alien movie too. So.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, it just seemed like in the original first two films, it almost looked like they didn't do the hind legs thing.
They did. There were even scenes in Aliens where they're standing up, like when Ripley's meeting the Queen, and the Queen hisses, and you see all the aliens slowly move into the room, like, okay, they're at a standoff, right? One of them is moving in. on its legs.
Well, the queen, yeah, but I'm talking about the
like
basic
walking into the room like, "What's up, guys? I'm creeping up on you."
Well, yeah, the queen is doing that because she's a big puppet. But I mean, like,
one of the alien warriors is doing it.
Oh, okay. Then I guess I definitely got to rewatch those films again and keep a closer eye on that. But yeah,
Like he's literally just walking. He's literally walking into the room like a normal person.
Okay. Well, I will definitely rewatch them and get a closer look at that. But I mean, like, yeah, that's the thing. Is like I did like how the walking on the hind legs was more visible and more noticeable in the Alien Isolation game because it's hard to tell in the original movies.
Walking around in the first movie.
Yeah, because in the original film, you know, there is a scene where it looks like it's not, you know, walking at all because it's like this giant mechanical puppet. Like, you know, remember that bit where whatchamacallit? What's her name? Lambert? With the chick
in the original
yeah. Is her name Lambert?
Which character?
Lambert, the other chick.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you know how the xenomorph was approaching her near the end of the film. There was a moment where it was standing stiff and its arms were waving, but its mouth and its head and its body were just like stiff, almost like it was on like a motor scooter. So there were moments like that where
they weren't really doing a lot of post with that film. It's kind of similar to what you have on the image here, except there's a lot more animatronics.
Oh, okay.
Also here, this is the first Predator trailer, the original, the Predator trailer, I should say. Sorry.
Okay, but you definitely go slow with it.
Right here.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Like from the director of Iron Man 3, and was like, wow, that's a great, like that's the film you want. That's not a good thing. Like I remember saying, like that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean Shane Black, he had some hits back in the day, but it's like Iron Man 3 and the Predator, two proofs that he's lost his touch.
Oh, also the fact that like he was making really bad, like it was funny, but they were still bad jokes in the original.
Yeah, very bad. Because I mean, he co-created Lethal Weapon 1 and 2. And he did The Last Boy Scout. Those were good films. So, yeah.
But yeah, that, by the way, that still you have is definitely from Alien Covenant. I just checked.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure. I thought it was, but I didn't want to like just talk out of my ass. So,
I just wanted to make absolutely sure there.
It's the dorsal fins and the chest.
So yeah, I think we covered about as much as we could.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, you know, regarding the Aliens Fireteam game, it's pretty much just World War Z or Left 4 Dead or DayZ, you know, whatever. Actually, no, DayZ's. No, I'm thinking of Days Gone. No, Days Gone's good. DayZ was it's pretty much your typical zombie horde shooter multiplayer game, except instead of 4 players, you're capped at 3 players. Why I don't know, but it's $40 on Steam from what I've seen, and they do have a deluxe edition, which is $70. I mean, what the hell does the deluxe edition even include? That's deluxe. Deluxe edition, it's not going to tell me. Oh, no, wait, no, it is. Okay, so it comes with all the DLCs and stuff that's coming out. So they're going to have a bunch of cosmetic DLCs and stuff that is to be determined or to be released. So essentially, you're paying $30 for skins, and that's really it, just skins.
So basically, you're just paying an extra $30 for something that you could get for like $1.
Not even. I would say you're paying $30 for something that probably should have been in the game on launch.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially, my opinion. Like I said, I have not played the game, but just from what little I've seen of the game, the first few missions, this game, Aliens Fireteam, really comes off as a by the numbers type game, and it's just sad because I mean, you know, this is a game that could have been like a Resident Evil version of Aliens, and they couldn't even do that. They just gave us this by the numbers bland game that has very little character growth, character interactions. I mean, yeah, there are voiceovers, but you don't. It's like you don't feel an attachment to these characters.
I think
not right off the
bat. It's a reskinned like World War Z or Left 4 Dead game.
Yeah. And it sucks because, I mean, this could have been more than what it is, and they just didn't have the courage to go for it.
Or I don't think they didn't have the courage. I think it's just we want to make money. Here's a throwaway game.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean, heck, Terminator Resistance is a better game than this.
Yeah.
Heck, and that's the thing. I mean, I understand Colonial Marines has some problems, but even Colonial Marines, I would argue, is better than this.
Well, I would say wait to play it. Maybe the gameplay might prove you wrong there, but just from how bad Colonial Marines gameplay is. But I will say this is definitely just a quick cash grab using the Alien franchise as a marketing gimmick to pretty much buy yet another multiplayer, essentially a horde mode as a game. Like, here's a game mode being sold as a game, and I'm not a fan of that personally. So,
yeah, Soul Assassin says it's a game for when you got nothing to do and time to waste.
Yeah, when I have nothing to do and time to waste, I usually get busy doing something, or I will play Halo.
Well, Halo at least has a fan base and such.
Well, I meant more that like it's a good game.
Yeah, it has a fan base. It is a good game. Oh, yeah, Lindsay. I actually said this earlier in the stream, so maybe when this stream is over, if you want to go back to like the beginning, I did say a Resident Evil version of Aliens would have been a good idea because
using the Resident Evil like story, the thematics of the story and kind of the gameplay loops of Resident Evil, but in an alien setting.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing.
Obviously not literally just a Resident Evil clone, because then what's the point?
Yeah,
you gotta make it unique to aliens. So maybe
because I mean
twist in some aliens.
Yeah, because like the Fireteam could have been like the Fireteam could have been like stars in the Aliens universe. They could have been a team of Colonial Marines that were considered one of the best in all the Marine divisions, and then they were tasked with going after aliens in this lone location. They were going in heavily armed to the teeth, prepared. But then something goes wrong and the xenomorphs start overwhelming them. Their numbers are starting to reduce. So you got to take control of like a handful of surviving Marines, trying to figure out what went wrong. And it's slowly revealed weapons, gear, and parts of the station or whatever were sabotaged by a member of your team. You got to figure out which one it is. And by the end, you figure out which one it is. It's not some corporate stooge. It's one of your own teammates, a soldier. So therefore, yeah, it would have been an interesting take.
Yeah, as I said, using like the story thematics and some of the plot beats that Resident Evil does really well, and kind of it's essentially let's use something that's successful and does things right, and use that as inspiration to do our own thing type. Kind of that's what I'd recommend, because I'm not a fan of just straight up copying and cloning of stuff. But if you're using something as inspiration, like, okay, this X project does something right, then yeah, you should probably follow suit and do that as well. But you got to do your own spin on it. So
yeah,
you're not be doing aliens and kind of.
Heck, you could have even made the. You could have even like sorry about that. Stupid ambulance is driving right by. But yeah, you could have had like maybe you could have done something interesting. The AVP film, or not film, the game, the AVP game and the Colonial Marines game, they had this like female character get infected with the chest burster. In AVP the game, it was implied that if they put her in hypersleep, it'll suppress it, and then if they get her to a medical facility in time, they can remove it safely without killing her. In Colonial Marines, there was no saving her; she died. And by the way, that's another thing that's always, debated. It's never fully settled. One version, some people say the chest bursters can't be removed without killing the host. Others say they can. So,
I kind of like that it's never actually answered.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe it's a case of it's a 50-50 chance.
Or yeah, maybe it's kind of like a how
long,
after
how long it's been inside of you before.
Yeah, so like if it's to the point where like it's on the verge of coming out of you, you're a goner.
Yeah,
like the only thing that's left to save is the alien.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, whatchamacallit, but yeah, that's 2 games where you had the female infected and you didn't know if you were going to save her in time. Maybe the twist for my Resident Evil version of Aliens, the Fireteam game, could be the female actually is the traitor. The female is the one who's doing all the sabotaging to subvert all the expectations. Right?
Yeah. By the way, this is my footage, so if YouTube does something to you, I'm giving you the okay to play my YouTube footage here.
Well, that's no problem.
This is literally from Alien versus Predator 2010, where I did a stream of it. It's like, just look at this. Like, first off, first person means that you have a lower field of view, you can't see around you, and it makes it already it increases the fear factor, which is why a lot of horror games do third person. The only horror game I know that really does the third person well is Dead Space.
Yeah. Soul Assassin, nobody likes Alien 4, Alien Resurrection. That was Joss Whedon hot garbage.
It's a great MST3K film, though. Like if you're just gonna give it the full MST3K experience, like you and your friend just watch it, get some drinks, and just
And the worst part about that was
berate it for all its flaws and just what it does silly and all that.
And the worst part about that film was they go all the way back to Earth, and in the deleted ending, it's revealed Earth is a wasteland.
No, that's not even in the deleted ending. That's in the regular ending. It's just a wasteland.
Oh, but even still, it's like they go all this through all this trouble to get back to Earth, and it's crap.
To be fair, there is a line the biggest mistake of that film is Ron Perlman is in it, and it's a shit show.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Perlman's a great actor. I mean,
the dude's the best Hellboy we've had to date.
Great Hellboy and great voice of Deathstroke. Slade Wilson from
and of course Lord Hood from Halo. Master Chief, mind telling me what you're doing on that ship? He plays Lord Hood in Halo 2 and 3. And he's damn good at it.
Okay.
I mean, the character is somewhat based on him visually, so I say somewhat because it's obviously not fully based on him, but the character's build and head shape is pretty much the same.
Yeah. One thing
let me put it this way: if they ever did have to do like a live action Halo thing that isn't the crappy TV show that's coming out, I would want Ron Perlman to reprise his role as Lord Hood.
Understood.
But I will say this: look at the gameplay here. AVP. The aliens are coming out. You have almost no lighting other than your flashlight and some emergency lights.
Yeah.
There's no because that's the things like the aliens are highlighted, and when you kill them, you have like a HUD marker that tells you, oh, they're dead. A little X comes out showing you that they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here, you have no idea. It's like sometimes I'll down them, and then I think they're dead, and then they'll start crawling towards me like, oh crap, they're still alive, and I thought I was completely blasted with my pistol.
Yeah, it's a good thing the pistol has infinite ammo, even though it's practically unrealistic.
Well, I mean, look, it is still a game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you burn through the pulse rifle ammo in seconds, so, like, you really have to, short bursts, don't spray and pray. Also, I love how I kind of knocked him through the railing there.
Nice. But that's the thing also, my issue with these games is that the acid, it's supposed to be corrosive enough to melt your arm off, and yet you can just brush it off. It makes no sense.
The film, literally the first time we see it, it melts through several decks of a commercial spaceship.
Yeah, but then in the whatchamacallit, in Aliens, we did see it splash on the guy's face, but it came off more of a burn rather than
I mean, they probably didn't. They honestly, if they kept the camera on him longer, because it's not instantaneous. It's not like, oh, the second you pour it on him, it just instantly dissolves the guy. It's not like
Yeah.
the human being's made of sugar and you're pouring water on him.
Yeah.
It's more of a hold on a second, about to sneeze. All right, false alarm. It's more of kind of like, like real acid, where it slowly melts away at things. Oh, there it sneeze. So it slowly melts away at things like realistic acid would. Like, acid isn't instantaneous like in a cartoon or movie. A lot of time, acid takes, it can take even hydrochloric or sulfuric acid can take hours to melt away at human flesh.
Yeah.
Like, depending on how much of it there is. Like if you're like, say, you got a full human body in a tub and you pour sulfuric acid on them, like fill the tub, it's going to take a few hours. And even then, the body's still going to be somewhat there. Like there'll be chunks. It's not going to be like they're fully now liquid.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, it's not going to take instantaneous. So if the camera stayed on him for like another, 20 minutes or so, you probably would have seen his face and, skull exposed and stuff like that. Like, it would have been really gruesome. But obviously the whole point was to flash back right or edit back right to Vasquez, screaming that her friend is dying, because it's not supposed to be look how gruesome and look how deadly the acid. It's supposed to be a both, not just how deadly the acid is, but it's a how deadly the acid is mixed with an emotional moment. So you have to show the emotion.
Yeah.
So I thought that scene was done really well, because this way, first off, it was a budget thing too. This way they don't have to actually go through the whole thing of melting a guy.
Yeah.
Literally going to melt the guy, but it means in post they don't have to do anything, and they don't have to have a physical prop like a fake human being being melted and stuff like the animatronic, because they already probably blew their budget with that animatronic person that had a chest burster that they burned to death. So this way they didn't have to do another sort of deal with like that. This way they can just oh, look, he got sprayed with the acid. We know the acid's deadly and burns through you. So.
See, and that's another thing too I want to mention real quick, is that I do like the HUD where you see the motion tracker in the corner of this game, but I kind of preferred
clean.
But I preferred in Aliens Colonial Marines, where you had to actually take the tracker out and look at the blue screen.
So that's what we were. So on when the initial Fireteam, the Aliens Fireteam game trailer came out, we talked about like what would we do with this type of game. And when we were talking about the HUD, because we were talking about how messy the HUD is and just how bloated it is, like you have everything. They're like every controller keybind is displayed on the screen, which is kind of annoying, including like D-pad markers and stuff. So whereas here it's very clean, you just have the motion tracker. Unless you're shooting, then the ammo pops up on the HUD. And we were talking about like what if you had, because the whole point was a co-op game, right? Like what if you're doing a co-op Aliens game, do something like this where it's a campaign, you're going through all these corridors and stuff with objectives, and you're fighting off these aliens, except it's co-op, so you got to make use of ammo. Like there's not a lot of ammo. You have to heal each other. You can't just auto heal or stim. I guess you can stim pack yourself, but like to actually heal, you have to have a buddy heal you, because you go in the down state and all that. And for the motion tracker, you can have like one person of your team has the motion tracker, just like in the movie. Like that would have been ideal, because this way it makes use of the fact that it's a co-op game.
Yeah, like one person wields the guns,
has the motion tracker. It enforces communication between your squad. Like, okay, aliens are 5 meters out. No, wait, 4 meters out. That's in the room. They can't be. Like
yeah.
You can do that.
Heck, you could even have the motion tracker dude be the traitor of the team.
Oh, story-wise, yeah.
Yeah. So
they're purposely misreading it so that this way they get eaten.
They screw up the rest of the team, but they can find a way for themselves to get out. But yeah, it just goes to show that Fireteam, I understand that there are going to be people out there that are playing it right now and are having fun, and I'm not going to take away from that. but I'm just saying we could have gotten better than what we got. Just
I mean,
from
look, at the
based
end
on
of the day,
what we
what we
saw.
got was just a glorified zombie shooter, a zombie horde mode.
Yeah, because I mean, looking at it just from without having played it, I can tell it could have been better. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much all we can cover. I think we got everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, thank you for coming on for this.
Dude, anytime.
And let's see. Yeah, I want to thank Soul Assassin. I want to thank Lindsay. I want to thank Nerdporial. And I want to thank Retro Scotty. Thank you all for showing up and supporting the stream. And if you all like what you see here and you want to see more, then make like Dutch and Predator and stick around. And if you don't like what you see here, then make like Zangief from Street Fighter the movie and quick, change the channel. So, yeah, have a good rest of your afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time it is you're watching this, whether it's live or on the replay. And be sure to hit the like button to help the channel grow, and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications to stay notified for upcoming streams and videos. And with that said, live long and prosper. May the force be with you always. Cobra Kai never dies. There's no fate but what we make, and you can bet on that. Now make like a tree and get out of here.